3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the 3P podcast. I'm Nat, the GM, of course, and I got my guy Jones up here. Jones, what's going on?
I'm chilling, watching these games. These games are getting better and better by the day, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Before we really get into it, let's bring in Brian for the weekly injury report. How you doing, Brian?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good, doing good.
Good, my boy.
What's going on with those injuries?
Oh, breaking news. Julius Randle just went to the locker room, rolled his ankle after trying to block a shot. Was able to walk off the court himself, but I'm not sure if it's the same ankle that he injured a few weeks ago, right before the end of the regular season. So we might not see him back second half. We'll see. And if he is, he's probably gonna have some limited time. But if you guys have been paying attention to my YouTube shorts over the last week, I've been saying all along that, you know, if you're not in it to win it, if you're not available to be to play, you're not going to be successful. And case in point, the LA Clippers, you had Paul George, who was scheduled and anticipated that he's going to miss the entire series, and he did. And then you had Kawhi with what they said today was now a torn meniscus in his knee. Missed games 3, 4, and 5. Honestly, I mean, you kind of get what you pay for with those two guys. I mean, these are veterans. Yeah. We know Kawhi's had a big injury history, especially to his knees. From what I've heard and read in multiple reports throughout the years, his knees are really jacked up. He's got some pretty advanced arthritis for a young guy in his 30s. And that's partly why they've been doing this load management. But as you can see, with a problem like that, load management doesn't really fix the issue. It just pushes it further down the road. And so all the time that he sits out and doesn't play doesn't really help the situation. It just makes it a problem later on when you actually have to address it. So here he is. He comes into the playoffs, round 1, plays 2 games, goes out with what they call the knee sprain. Turns out today they're saying he's got a meniscal tear. The issue with that to me is if you pull 100 people off the street and you gave everybody an MRI, whether they had pain or swelling or not, you're going to find meniscus tears in like 80 of those people. So, you know, it's a common finding on MRI. And when you have an arthritic knee, you're going to see that. So it doesn't tell me anything new. I'm not convinced it's a new issue. I think this all goes back to the stuff he's been dealing with throughout his career for the last few years. Unfortunately for him, what does this hold for his future? I don't know. But unfortunately for the Clippers, it's the end of their season. And I'm wondering if Joel Embiid is dealing with the same thing now that we read, you know, that was out last game with the sprain. Luckily for the 76ers, they've been able to sweep the Nets. So they've got some downtime now. He can recover. But they called his injury a knee sprain too, which was kind of ironic because in both cases with him and Kawhi, never saw them actually get hurt. Never saw them actually favoring their knees or anything. Never saw a play where they got injured. So I'm not really sure what they're basing that on, if they're both kind of dealing with some chronic stuff that maybe just got aggravated during the first round here. But we'll have to see what happens with Embiid as we head into round 2, and whether or not he's hampered by anything significant and what happens to him in the offseason if there's any type of issue. As far as that, the only other big injury update with regards to the NBA playoffs was the Ja Morant's back. So we see, you know, he looks to be not affected by the contusion that he had in his hand. Which I was shocked that he even missed a game at all. But he came back the following game and scored 45 points. So I guess it couldn't have been bothering him that much.
Right.
And that was all verified with an MRI scan and X-ray scans and whatnot. So, you have what's his name with
The Bucks,
Sacramento?
Giannis? Ah,
No,
okay.
well, so Giannis is back. I mean, he looks fine too. Again, a contusion.
You talking about
Um,
De'Aaron Fox?
Yeah,
Sacramento?
thank you. That's
Mhm.
like draw a blank there. De'Aaron Fox with his fractured index finger on his shooting hand.
Yes.
They play tonight. Critical game for them. We'll have to see if it affects his ball handling and shooting, being that it's on his dominant hand. Plenty of guys have played through that injury in the NBA. He said he's full go. It's not going to keep him out. But I have a feeling that we'll probably see him take less jump shots
Yep.
and possibly take it to the hole a little bit more than he might normally,
Mhm.
because I think it is going to affect his handling and shot. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and that's going to be like that for a while. It'll definitely affect him into round 2. It'll probably feel a lot better if he can get some time off between rounds if they advance. But it's going to be something that he'll have to deal with the rest of the playoffs probably.
Got it. Thank you, Brian.
So,
As we know with De'Aaron Fox, what is his bread and butter is not those 3-point shots. It's him getting to the basket. So hopefully, that doesn't hinder him too much, because they have an opportunity to actually take down, the
Mhm.
Warriors, and they've been playing, everything's been close pretty much, minus I think one
Absolutely.
game,
Yep.
and they've been playing well. So hopefully it doesn't bother him too much, because they cannot advance without him. There's
Mhm.
just no possible way. This is
Not gonna
not
happen.
a Memphis Grizzlies, type of situation where you have Tyus Jones coming out off the bench,
Right.
and you fill in. It has to be, De'Aaron Fox to lead them. He's their
No question.
the clutch player of the year. So, yeah. Thank you so much, Brian Jones. You got anything for Brian?
Outside of what you've already said, has there been any updates as far as Giannis? I know he's been back, but is he still dealing with anything as far as that? What do you call it? The tailbone.
Yeah, so the problem with the tailbone and that part of the body is really important because it's part of your core, and especially in a sport like basketball with all the jumping, reaching, grabbing overhead, it puts a lot of strain on that part of the body. So I'm sure he's experiencing some soreness and tightness, but it sounds like he's been getting treatment daily. It's gonna be sore. There's just no way to stop that.
Right.
Mitigating that soreness and allowing you to do what you need to do during the game, which I'm sure he's probably taking some medications to help him get through. And getting treatments before and after the game. But I really don't think it's hampering him enough that it's going to affect his game. And
Right.
if he says it is, then I still don't believe that it's enough that it's going to cause a significant change in his game or his performance. It was diagnosed as a contusion, and that was verified with the scan. If it was anything more structural or anything significant, they would have seen it, and he would not be playing still. So, I was kind of surprised that he actually sat out as well, but it's 2 games, in fact, right? If I'm not
Right.
mistaken.
Yeah.
And that was
2.
huge. I mean, you see now where they are in this series.
Absolutely.
And don't forget, Miami, is without Tyler Hero with a fractured hand.
For sure.
So, he's not going to be back for 6 weeks. So even if they do advance, they still will be without him
Yep.
next round. So we'll see what happens. Interesting, probably one of the most shocking series thus far.
100%.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Brian.
Thank you
My
so
pleasure,
much,
guys. Thanks for
Brian.
having me.
Absolutely. Have a good one. What's up, Jones? Listen,
Man. Man.
this week, let's get into the week on repeat so we can
Let's
really
do it.
get into it. So, as we know, there are a bunch of teams down 3-1 right now.
Sure.
There are about 3 series right now that were shockers,
Mhm.
and we know what it is. Memphis Grizzlies down
Yes.
3-1. That is a 2 seed.
Yep.
They are down 3-1, and they are playing right now. Miami is up 3-1 on the
8th
Bucks.
seed on a 1 seed.
8th seed on a 1 seed. They are 1 game away from advancing.
Jimmy Buckets.
Jimmy Buckets, right?
Jimmy Buckets. One word. Playoff Jimmy. You can say either or.
And then you have which we both chose on our brackets, but the Knicks over the Cavs. And
For sure.
everything we said, Jones, right? It has
Yep.
come to fruition.
For sure. It sure has.
So, which one is the biggest shocker to you, though?
For me, I think the biggest shock is the Memphis Grizzlies and the Lakers. Even though I still have the Lakers winning the series. Now I have them winning the series
Hmm.
tonight. I have them finishing the series, but Heat, Bucks, and most people would probably say that, but the reason why I don't say that is because of the 2 games that Giannis had to miss because of that tailbone injury. And it, at the same time, it doesn't shock me, this Miami Heat versus Bucks beating them. The reason why, the Heat has had the Bucks numbers for the past, I don't know, 5, 6 years.
Yeah,
We've seen this before. We've seen
right.
Miami be a low seed and the Bucks be a high seed, and the Miami Heat give them work. We've seen this before, Giannis or no Giannis. So it
Yep.
doesn't shock me. It doesn't. The Heat culture. I was a Miami Heat fan back in the days with
Hmm.
Dwayne Wade, because Dwayne Wade was my favorite player. So I've seen this before. This Heat culture. This is what they're about. They're not going. It doesn't matter what seed they are. They're going to be feisty. They're going to fight, especially when you got a guy like Jimmy Buckets on the team. Doesn't shock me. But the Memphis Grizzlies, I thought they were going to put up a bigger fight. Now, it might be because of what Dylan Brooks did and really poked the bear. Not only one bear, he woke up the whole team.
Hmm.
But that shocked me. I thought, especially after how Ja's been playing, injured as well. And you see the photo. Bron and the team has just been owning Dylan Brooks. He hasn't been talking. He
Hmm.
hasn't been. That shocked me too. I thought he was at least be like, all right, you know what? They got me. I thought
Yeah,
he'd at least be on that type of time. He's not even on that type of time. He's like, I don't want no parts. Too bad. It's too late. Your team down 3-1, and you're probably gonna lose tonight. But I
yeah.
thought they would be a little bit better, especially the way Ja's been playing.
I thought that they would have been a little bit better, and I did pick Memphis to originally, advance. The reason why I am not shocked is because I just think that there are some bad decisions that are going on, in Memphis, whether you talk about the front office and then you talk about how
Mm,
the players play.
mm,
To me, Dylan Brooks should not be on this team, and he should not have been on this team for 2 years now,
yep.
and they're keeping him around. That man is a starter on a championship esque roster.
Right.
I have to put those quotes on because we know every year they're not contenders. They're just
Right.
a very fun team and high energy. But you cannot think that you're going to win a championship. Where is your leadership? You
Exactly.
know, Dylan Brooks is a guy that he does a lot of clowning. He does a lot of poking, and then not giving much back. His thing is energy, and then he
Yep.
tries to overcompensate for lack of talent, in my
Right.
opinion. You
Yep.
know, and I think that's why he pulls the antics. Because he's not a good shot maker.
Mm-mm.
He's a decent defender. But
Right.
he's
Give
okay.
him that. Right. You can give him
But
that for sure.
look at their starting lineup. You have John Morant. You've got Bane.
Hmm.
Who? How tall is Bane? He's
I
got a
want to. He's
he's got a
not that.
short wingspan. He's
Yeah,
got a
I think he's like 6'2", 6'3", something like that.
there you go in this league today, and then you have Dylan Brooks starting. Look at your those first three right there.
Right.
That is not a championship roster.
It sure ain't. It sure ain't.
So I'm not shocked because I think that the Lakers, they saw this matchup. They said, okay, do we want Denver, who they have vets on that team, and they
Hmm.
have guys that have won before, and they got well, two-time MVP,
Yep,
in Jokic. Do I want
for
that?
sure.
And they're gonna play way more together, less mistakes. Or do I
That's a
want the
fact.
Memphis Grizzlies because they're a lot easier, to manage, you
Right, and
know?
unexperienced.
And on experience, I have them on experience. So I think that the Lakers were very smart in how this whole
Right.
series, you know. I'm not shocked defense. I just thought that they would have played a lot better. They just look like they're not supposed to be. They look like a 7th seed, to be honest with you. Memphis is just
Yes,
not playing, So
absolutely.
I'm not shocked.
Should be reversed.
Shocked. I admit, with Miami, in the Bucks, just a little. I that there's Jimmy, but there's a Giannis. I'm sorry, everything like that, but I think that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, Chris Middleton been huge. The rest of that team, this team was so many things in Milwaukee. It's just not. It doesn't look. They don't look deep. They don't look like
No.
they don't look sharp at all. They just don't look good, and that's with Giannis and that's your main guy. That's a
Right.
MVP, that's a guy that arguably is the best in this league.
Oh,
They
for
don't
sure.
look good, Jones. So I think my question is, what is wrong, in your opinion, with the Milwaukee Bucks?
I think they need better, more shooters for sure, because I think Chris
Mhm.
Middleton is not enough.
Yep.
Um, and they're definitely a good defensive team, but you need 3 and D. You need a team
Yes.
that's going to give you 3 and D, because when you got a guy like Giannis, who you already know the defense is going to have to, there's no choice unless you want him to score 40 plus a night. You're going to have to collapse every
Mhm.
once in a while. And if you
Yep.
give him some guys where he can pass the ball and knock down shooters, and then they can get their ass down the court and play some
Mhm.
defense, that's how they won the championship the first time. If you get something like that, I think that's the formula for success for the Bucks. You have to build around Giannis. If you don't have the correct pieces there, doesn't matter how good Giannis is, it's not going to work. We've seen it with the Lakers trying to put Russ in the Laker uniform. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
how many MVPs Russ has won, how many triple doubles he's had. That doesn't mean it's gonna work when you don't have the right pieces around good players. So I think that's what the Bucks need to do. They need to get 3 and D guys around Giannis.
Yeah. And I would agree, but you know what's funny? Drew Holiday, that's a 3 and D guy. Chris Middleton, that's a 3 and D guy.
That's for sure.
Is it Grayson
Drew,
Allen, 3 and D guy?
he is.
You see what I'm saying?
He
Like,
is.
there are multiple 3 and D guys and it's not working, you know? Now, I think a question that we have to look at, or something that we have to ask ourselves, if they lose this series, and there's some basketball to be played, still.
Mhm.
But if they lose this series, is this it for Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton with Giannis?
I think more Chris Middleton. I think because um, I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before that his name was being shopped around for trades and stuff like that. So I think if anybody's going to be moved, it's going to be him first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Drew's been, for me, I think he's a great fit for them. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, he's 3 and D. And when he needs to show up, he shows up for the most part, especially guarding the best player on the other team, especially that on the defensive side. You don't ask much of him on the offensive side, but he can show up on the offensive side. So if I had to pick between the two, it would be Middleton, because
Yeah.
Middleton is iffy.
So I think so too. I think that maybe Chris Middleton, might not be the best, fit anymore going forward. You know, like the playoffs are about matchups. Basketball is a game of matchups. And
Absolutely.
what you're seeing is eighth seeds have matched up, with the right 1 seed. Seventh seeds have matched up with the right 2 seed. And
Yep.
that's why you are seeing all of this,
Mhm.
So it's not a shocker, in a lot of, in a lot of ways, it's not a shocker, but I think that Jimmy has been playing on another level. I think, they've had some lows in the season, but
For
Jimmy
sure.
has stepped it up. But he's done this. He does this every year for the
Right.
playoffs.
He does.
So he just has another gear, to go to. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back with more.
Underdog Fantasy is here to save your post-fantasy football season blues. The easiest place to play and win with the Underdog Fantasy app. Get up to 20 times your money in a single night with our Pick'em contests. Grab some insurance when setting your picks and win even when one pick fails. Go online now and use the promo code 3PEAT to double your deposit up to $100. Sit gingerbread, good girl.
All right, guys. And remember to sign up with Underdog Fantasy and use the promo code 3P and we will double your deposit up to $100. All right. So we got a question. Do you think Miami closes it out tonight? Do you think Miami closes out? Jones, what say you?
I was going back and forth with this because I've seen this question before on social media. And my head says, yes, they close it out. They just have that momentum and the Bucks are not going to be able to get it back. But part of me, my heart is telling me the beast in Giannis is just not going to allow it, at least not tonight. I think Giannis and that Bucks team is going to, especially Giannis, and regardless of injury, he's going to come out swinging. I think he's one of those type of players that is not going to give up easy. He's not just going to throw in the towel and say, oh, well, we down 3-1, might as well just go home early. I'm injured. I might as well get the recovery now. No, he's not. He's not going to do that. He's going to try to give you a 50 piece. So just based off of Giannis alone, I think I'm going to give the Bucks a small chance, a good chance of winning. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat close it out because they're just that good and they have the momentum right now.
I think that the Bucks win. I think the Bucks win. I think that they're going to come out focused. If you look and you actually think about the game that they played over the week, it was either Friday or Saturday. On Saturday, if you look at that game that they played, and that was no Giannis in that game, but Chris Middleton, 23 points, Holiday, 19 points, Grayson Allen, 14, but Brook Lopez, 6 points. The bench is, it's decent. Pat Connaughton had 11, and a few people with 5 points. So they've got to step this up. This is not going to work consistently, going forward. You've got to get some bench production. Even the game that they lost again, and this time Giannis was there. Giannis had a triple-double, 26, 10, and 13. Brook Lopez was the leading scorer with 36 and 11.
Yes, he's big.
But Middleton, 14 points, 14, 6, and 8. And then Holiday 14 and 7. And the bench had, 16 points. So
not good enough.
It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. I don't think that they close it out though. I actually have faith in Miami to continue. Faith in the Bucks, to continue. And get one more game and one more game. I have some faith there because I think that they do have a gear that they can hit. It's going to be hard. It's easier to win one more than it is 3.
Absolutely. That's the mindset they got to have.
Right. So I just want to see what's going to happen and how they look. That first quarter is going to tell you a lot about both teams. So I don't think that they close it out, but it's gonna be tough because when you
helps that they're at home.
When you smell blood, it's like when a shark smells blood, it's like, okay, like you're desperate.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Absolutely.
and you know what's dangerous? And we'll get into the Boston Atlanta game as well. You know what's
Mhm.
dangerous? Teams that don't have anything to lose.
Yeah,
Miami has
that's true.
0 to lose,
Right.
and they're actually playing
Exactly.
like it. Hey,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, exactly.
you think we're not supposed to be here? You think that we can't match up with you? Hey, we don't have anything
Well,
to
here we
lose.
go.
You do,
Right.
you know? And that's
Exactly.
what I see, you know? So
That's a fact.
we're gonna see how it plays out and if there's any changes tonight, you know, and if guys have some pep in their step, you know. But we're gonna see. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics. My Boston Celtics.
Let's talk about it. Let's
Oh,
talk about it. Because
my,
that's what I'm waiting for.
my Boston Celtics versus the Atlanta Hawks. Okay. They were up 3-1, as we
Were.
see.
Mhm.
And then Trey Young,
Trey, yeah, Ice Trey.
he goes back
Woo!
2 years and he's like he looks like that, you know, that Trey Young that was, you know, kicking Philly's ass all, you know, all up and down the court,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Oh yeah, and
Um
my next before
in
that.
the Knicks, right. Um so let me say this, right? People would like, and there's a lot of folks that just look at a box score and they're like, Jason Tatum had 9 points, excuse me, 19 points, so
Mhm.
therefore he is the blame, and they stop right,
Right. No. Oh no, there's plenty of pie to go around.
and they stop right there. It's halt.
Nah,
And
you can't do that.
I'm like, we're not going to talk about the ridiculous fouls from Marcus Smart. We're not going to talk about that. A defensive
Mhm.
player of the year, Jones. We're not going to talk about, you know, him poking the ball and then jumping on, like, onto Trey Young and then giving up that foul. We're not going to talk about that. You don't want to talk about, you know, how there was a turnover. You know, there was multiple turnovers at the end of the game. You
Yep.
know, there was multiple mishaps, bad shots, bad threes, you know, passing up like floaters to give it to the guy in the corner. That
Yep.
is ridiculous. When you are either within 2, up 2, or tied, it is ridiculous to do. And it happened multiple times.
Yep.
How about Joe Mazzulla? Lovely Joe. He had a nice like game going on with Brogdon and Derek White.
Right.
He sits Brogdon down, but keeps Marcus Smart out there, who continuously back to back to back makes ridiculous like plays. Ridiculous, ridiculous,
Yep.
ridiculous. I can't talk about that, but I can tell you that, you know, Jason Tatum had 19 points. You know, so they had an opportunity to win, but they became unserious. And then, oh, my favorite play. This is absolutely my favorite. And shout out to the Atlanta Hawks and Trey Young. He looked like himself.
Yeah.
This is one of his better games that I've seen in a while. So we play him one-on-one with Jaylen Brown, give him space to play, right? We give him space to see the floor, space to pick his spot, right? The double comes late when Trey is already in 3-point range. And he
Yeah,
just he throws up that shot, so that's going in. And it goes in. It goes in. Surely it does. Right. And I'm just looking and I'm just like, I mean, I could have wrote that. I could have wrote that
Right.
script, you know.
Uh-huh.
That didn't make any sense to me, because why wouldn't you double him when the ball touched his hand?
That makes no
Because
sense at all.
make someone else beat you. Make someone else have to think, oh, do I need to get it back to Trey? You know, or do I take this shot? All that
Right.
thinking happens in a team that's not used to winning, and then you probably can get a turnover. No, what you do is give him space, give him a one-on-one matchup, right? With Jaylen Brown, who gives him all the space to operate. The double comes late, and then he has a clear look at the basket.
Yeah,
So
it's not adding up.
what were your thoughts when you saw that, Jones? Well,
I
what'd you
was
think?
thinking the same thing. I mean, when the guy's hot, you got to get him, especially when the game's on the line. You get the ball out of his hand, no matter what. It doesn't matter who else is on the team. If he's the hot guy, especially if he's that guy, and obviously we know he's that guy, especially on
Right.
a night like that, you have to force it to. Even if other guys are hot,
Mhm.
you'd live with that. You would live with someone else making that shot than Trey making
Yep.
that shot because it's predictable. So,
Yeah.
I just like you said, I think it was just the Celtics having these lapses
Yep.
like they seem to have every once in a while, and it's just like people, like you said, people are trying to kill Jason Tatum about it, and it's just like, bro, come on now, the guy is killing every night, and he has one bad night. That's not on him. That's not on him.
You know what's funny, Jones? I heard a lot about why Jason Tatum is to blame for last night. Okay. And I asked this question often. I said, where are you guys when Jaylen Brown is nowhere to be found
Uh-huh.
in these games, right? Because if my memory serves me correctly in this series, Jason Tatum has been the best player,
Absolutely. No
right?
question.
So I could ask, minus that game one where they both, I think Brown had 29, Tatum had 25. The next game, Tatum had 25, Brown had, I think, 15 or 18
There you go.
points. The next game, game 3 that they lost, Tatum had 29 and Brown had what? 15.
15, yeah.
Yeah, he had 15 points. So it's not loud though. No one,
Right.
I don't hear anything, Jones. I don't hear
Exactly.
nothing. Like
It,
it's not
it,
consistent.
it's not. It makes no sense because, like you said, when Jalen has a bad game, Jason's still carrying the team, still getting W's. Maybe not, they don't get every W, but they still get
Mhm.
W's for the most part.
Yep.
When Tatum has a bad game, Jalen can't carry that. And it's not supposed to work like that. When one of your stars have a bad game, the other star's supposed to be good enough to bring it up to the next level and say, all right, he don't got it. It's not his day. I'm gonna put the team on my back tonight and take it from there. But
Yeah.
he clearly can't do that.
And I think that's my problem. What I've always said to people when it comes to the Jalen Jason thing, I said, this is how I can tell them apart easy, right? Jalen will forever be the better scorer. He just understands like his spots and he's a better
Right.
shooter.
Mm-hmm.
He's a more competent scorer, excuse me. Tatum has the overall package.
Right. Absolutely.
I've seen Tatum shoot bad, but still you can't take him off the floor because he's got his assist up, his defense is pretty good, and his rebound, he's an elite rebounder for
For
a
sure.
3. You can't take him off the floor because he still impacts the game. In this series, what I have noticed is that there are times where you have to take Jaylen Brown out of the game because he's not scoring. But my thing is, and this is what I always say, right? People like to say, people are a dog. This player's a dog. This player's a dog.
Right.
There's no such thing as a part-time dog. You're either a dog or you're not.
AD.
There you go. Like, there's no such thing as part-time, because someone is 6'6" to 6'9" and they dunk the ball ferociously,
Right.
that you can't just say like, oh my God, that's a dog. A dog is, I'm 0 of 11, I'm 0 of 12, I'm 5 of 20, right? But I'm gonna get in your face and I'm gonna stick this
Right.
great defense, and I'm gonna get after you, not hang my head because I just
Right.
missed 5 shots.
Exactly.
That's not a dog. And
You
I
gotta
think
forget all
people
that.
get that really like messed up. It's like
Mhm.
you have to be a dog all the time. It's like
Always.
you can't take it off one game because I'm not scoring the way that I want, and then pick it back up, when like I'm 10 of 12. I'm a dog.
Exactly.
And so both of them, they really bother me, all for different reasons. So I just so we got another question here. So do you think you don't think the Heat win the series in total? As a Knicks fan, I think we would rather play the Heat instead of Bucks in a 7-game series. Mm,
Hmm. I'm a Nick fan as well, so
what you think?
um, would I rather see the Heat or I'd rather see the
The Bucks in a
Bucks?
7-game series.
Man, the Bucks worry me because of their size, and the Heat worry me because
You say you don't want
they
none of the heat. Somebody is really excited.
oh man, those are two tough matchups regardless of the fact
Yeah.
for my Knicks. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna say shit. I'm gonna have to say the Heat only because Hero isn't there. I don't. Jimmy Butler has a history of eventually getting too tired of doing this shit. Like he's not gonna be able to keep it up like
Hmm.
LeBron can. No, I'm not throwing any shade or anything like that, but
Hmm.
I think eventually he's going
Yeah.
to tap out. He's just
Yeah.
going to. We've seen the
We've seen
memes
it before.
of
Yeah.
him just being like, "Man, I gave it everything I had, and this is all I got." So, and the Knicks are not going to be an easy out. So, I would go with that. But I'm not even 100%. I wouldn't want to see either team, so it don't even matter. I got to pick one, but I'm going to go with the Heat. That's probably a bad decision too, because Jimmy Buckets could probably keep it up for another series or two.
I mean, there are some big pros and, some cons to both teams. I think that Milwaukee can be flat-footed. I
Mm,
think that Chris Middleton is still a little off with his
yeah,
play. Drew Holiday, I think, is really good still. I think he struggled, but I think he's still really good, healthy, intact or whatever. Their bench they're still having trouble. Who am I going to go to besides Bobby
right.
Portis? And then Brooke pulling him out of that paint, and making him guard the perimeter, with these bigs that like to shoot now. That
Yeah,
helps because he
that's a
clogs the
steal.
paint, you know? So I see it. And then Giannis, is he 100%?
Yeah, big question.
Him even missing a game says a lot,
Yeah,
first of all, you know? Um, when he missed that game, I said, okay, I think it's worse than what they're letting on. I think something's going on with Giannis, and I don't know. He might be really pushing it, going
right,
out there right now, because in order for him to just miss it, I remember in the finals, or in that finals run, he was injured. Something was wrong with, I think, his knee or his foot or
right.
something.
I think it was his
And
knee.
right, his knee, and he still played, you
Yep,
know.
sure did.
So this is interesting, but then you look on the other side and you have the Miami Heat. They haven't been that good all year, you
Yeah,
know
that's true.
is Jimmy going to save you every single game, every single series, or are you going to continue to do what the status quo is, continue to take Bam out of his comfort zone, no
Hmm.
Tyler Hero, so make the others beat you, and they really can't, you
Right,
know? So do they come back to earth, and that's an easier matchup? And then
exactly.
if the Knicks play the Heat, is that an easier path to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yep,
So those are the questions
it's
right
tough.
there.
Mhm.
So I would rather the Heat, to be honest with you. Because even with the Bucks, I think that if they can make it out, I think that they will wake up at some point, or is it
Yeah,
just maybe
yeah,
they
that's
run out of gas?
right.
you
No,
know,
you're right. If they get out of this series, then oh shit, the Knicks are in trouble if they get out this series.
if they can get out the series healthily, you know.
Right,
Um
absolutely, absolutely on that.
so speaking of the Knicks, we brought them up a couple times. What's up with the Knicks versus the Cat? Now, me and you had the same pick, Jones. So me and you looking like, I mean, yeah. So like
Yeah, you
we
know,
we knew it, right? Talk about your Knicks. Like, what are you
man,
seeing? What are you loving about the Knicks? Like, why are they up 3-1 right now?
I'm ecstatic when it comes to my Knicks right now because this is the Knicks team that I thought I was going to see a few years ago in the playoffs, but we got slapped by the Hawks and Trey Young.
Yeah,
But this is what I'm seeing right now is exactly what I thought I was going to see. I was wrong, but I'm seeing it now, so I'm grateful. But this team, they just you they're never out of it, and that's what I've been wanting for a long time. I'm so used to the Knicks just being one of those teams that, you think they're in it, and then they just blow it, as always, right on cue. But this team, they fight. They look like they're all together. There's no the chemistry is at an all-time high with them. Looks like one of the best chemistry teams since the 90s. Like even the team with Melo, those teams had their issues. This team looks like they fight for each other. And that they really want to fight for the city. The city, the Garden is going nuts. Loving it. I haven't been there, but I can feel the energy just watching the games. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling being a Knicks fan right now. We feeling really good because this is a team that we can actually be confident about. At least me, I can be confident about it. I know Knicks fans are always confident. We always think we're gonna do this, but I'm a biased fan. I'm biased. When my team's bad, I'm gonna tell you they suck.
Right.
I'm gonna keep it real. This team gives me confidence that we can actually make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and possibly even get past that. Especially if the Bucks are out of there. It's open. I mean, we still got to see your Boston, but you know how your Boston team get a little bit. I ain't scared of Boston.
We gonna get it done. Okay. Wait a minute. We're gonna get it done because at the end of the day, all right. Listen, we got championship pedigree. All right,
I hope so, because Trae Young over there.
He gonna get real hot, he gonna be like, "Woo, it's hot in here," it's hot because he's gonna be gone. He's gonna be on vacation. He already in Cancun. It's next game, it's done. They're losing by 20. But we know we have this rivalry, Boston versus New York. Oh, yeah. I really like the Knicks. Yeah. I really like the Knicks, and I've been saying this all year. I really like the Knicks.
About it.
I'm like, you know what's funny? I am a Julius Randle fan, right? So that's one of the reasons what draws me to you guys is because I followed him, for a long time. Right. And I really like his journey. He was very in between on the Lakers, then he goes to New Orleans and he really blossoms. And then when he blossoms, he comes to New York and he plays even better, so I've been watching that progression and I really appreciate it. He's also the biggest bargain big man in the league. That man can give you 20 and 10 on the dime that he makes, in this league. It is a bargain. You have the biggest bargain of a big man in this league right now.
That's a fact.
Then I was big on you better not trade for what's his name, Donovan Mitchell, D-Mitch. You better not trade for Spider, because if you do that, I was like, did you watch him in Utah? I love him as a player. I think he's really good and he's explosive. But there are some other things to that kind of messes things up a little bit, looking off certain guys, because maybe you don't like them. Maybe you want to take the shot for yourself or whatever. So you have 40. This person got 8. This person got 12. It's just some decision making. Yeah, it's the maturity, But you got Jalen Brunson. I'm huge on Jalen Brunson. He's been so good this year. And I was so excited for you guys because it was a smart pickup. Of course you signed Jalen Brunson. You signed the best guard you can for your team. And you guys did that.
Sure did.
Then quickly coming on, he was runner-up for 6th man of the year. And he filled in a lot of time, had some huge explosive games.
Big this year.
RJ Barrett was solid this year. Mitchell was solid this year. Yeah, Mitchell. Yeah, and then Toppin was solid this year. But then you got one of my favorite guys, right? Josh Hart.
Yes.
You got one of my favorite guys to watch. I watch him wherever he goes because I'm like, he is a Swiss Army knife. It does not matter where he goes. This man is going to add value to your team. Look at what he's doing. I'm loving what the Knicks are doing. Moments. Yeah, and it's I'm loving what the Knicks are doing. When you look at the Cavs, though, they're missing a lot. They're top heavy and very thin on that bench. And and I'm like, when I name off, guys like what's his name, Wade and Okoro, these are the guys that are coming off the bench. This doesn't move me. What is this? What is this?
Right.
If they're very thin, Darius Garland, D Mitch can take him out of his game and his rhythm sometimes because he is worried about scoring. Darius Garland is sometimes an afterthought. Lo and behold, those were issues in Utah,
Exactly.
So I'm not shocked. And then Randall is struggling. But then again, I look at it, I'm like, okay, he's struggling. Mobley, up over there, and Jared Allen. So he's struggling. And, he's not that kind of big or player where he's going to, I think, be a floor raiser that much. I know who Julius Randle is. And I always said on a championship roster, he is your third best player.
Right. I remember you saying that. It was a great point.
And I know who he is. That's why when I look at him struggling, I'm like, I get it. It's like, I want him to play better. I think he wants to play better, but he's struggling right now. Those guys are great defenders and those are like twin towers. He's struggling a little bit, but him struggling and actually what he's doing, it's taken some attention because now you have Brunson going off and there's no world beater defensively that's going to guard them, so nobody's going to stop them. So he's taking one for the team and he's struggling. I get it. And he got benched and I'm okay with that. It's like, you're not having a great series. How did you feel about him getting benched? Were you upset?
I loved it. And then it's nothing against him, but I love a coach that can see one of his best players struggling and say, you know what, you just don't got it tonight. Have a seat. Someone else got it tonight. All that matters is the W. You got to be able to take that 100%. Sacrifice and sacrifice for the W. And a coach that can say, hey, look, I don't care how much you're getting paid. I don't care if you're the number one player in the league.
Yep.
You stink tonight. Go sit at the end of that bench tonight.
Yep.
We're going to let so-and-so play, and we're going to get this W. And then we're going to try it again next game. You'll still be in. And if you're playing good, I got no reason to bench you. We can't. The same that we expect on the number one guy on the roster, you got to have the same expectations we have for the 15th guy, we got to have for the number one guy. So that's I love that Tibbs.
100%. No, 100%. I've seen, I'm a Celtics fan. I done seen some great Celtics get benched. So when we're having conversations like Julius Randle got benched, I'm like, and I haven't seen Paul Pierce get benched. Paul Pierce, I think, got 26,000 career points. I don't seen that. I don't seen Doc look at him and say, "You can sit your ass down on this bench." Yeah, you think you hot shit? Sit on this bench. I've seen
that. Not tonight, you wait.
I done seen Ray Allen have to sit himself down because he, him and Avery Bradley got a little something going on or whatever, and blah blah blah. I done seen it all. So when I'm looking at like Julius Randle got benched, I'm just like, this is a topic. He got benched. He's not playing well.
So what?
What? So
exactly.
What?
That's what his coach is supposed to do.
I don't know. When I hear that, I'm just like, and some great players have gotten benched.
Right. And I really want to know where Julius Randle's head is as far as that goes. I hope he could take that and just be like, hey, I wasn't playing good. It is what it is. Thank you, coach. You were smart enough to do what you had to do. I'll get in there and I'll play better next time, because that's the mindset you need to have as a professional.
100%. I really do hope that he's okay, and he calms down and just says, you know what, let me be, one of the leaders on this team, let me not force it, and just, just take it on the chin and be like, you know what, you're right, coach. I've been stinking it up, and I'm all right, so let's try this next time. Let's get
we're gonna see another series.
You're gonna see another series, because I think that y'all are getting out this series, because I want to see y'all again. Y'all are fun. The Knicks are fun. Like, whoever you play next round, you guys are a lot of fun, and I do wish you guys the best until you meet Boston, and then it's like, you know what?
Please give me Boston. Let's make it to see Boston.
You want Boston? You chanting we want Boston?
I just want to see us go back and forth.
It's gonna be fun.
I want that. So
it's gonna be fun, and that's the series, Jones. I'm gonna be looking at Marcus Smart like, I will come down there and I will cuss you out. You know, like why does Jalen Brunson have 35? Explain that to me, defensive player of the year. That's that one
Somebody gonna get
series.
that work.
You know, that's
Somebody
that
getting
one
it.
series, you know, even though I know Tatum, you know, gonna average 35 and Brown gonna average 30. But my
Right.
thing is though, but my thing is though,
Right.
it's gonna be a great series and I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
For a couple minutes, I want to talk about real quick though, just to transition. The next round. Don't we have Phoenix versus Denver this next
Sure
round?
do. Sure do.
Is that the
Sure
matchup
do.
that's
Yep.
going on right now?
Yep. That's
So,
starting in a couple days. Yep.
with that being said, that's a big ass matchup, Jones. Like that's
It really is. When you really
that's
think about it.
that's a juggernaut right there.
That's
Like,
huge.
who you got?
I went back and forth with this again
Yep.
today when I was thinking about it, and I'm going to give the edge to the Suns because Book, KD, just those two alone have been on fire. Book has
Mhm.
been on another level,
Yeah,
and I
he's been
don't
playing
know
great.
if the Denver Nuggets have what it takes mentally even to face a juggernaut like that team. I think they walk into that series
Mhm.
scared. They
Yep.
haven't won anything in their past few years. They've made
Mhm.
it to the conference finals, but
Yep.
that's not enough. I think the Suns kind of win this easily. I think they win this at most in 6. At
Oof.
most. Yeah. I think they're gonna
Ooh.
put up a fight, but I think at most at 6.
I picked the Suns to go to the finals. When it comes to Denver, I love Joker, right?
Yes.
Love Joker. I have to see for a whole 7-game series, Michael Porter Jr. step
Yep.
up
Yep.
and take on the challenge, but not only take on the challenge, play some of his best basketball in this next series. You know, I gotta see him really step it up and not make too many mistakes. You're going against Kevin Durant.
You got a task on your hands, boy.
You know, so when you're going against Kevin Durant, you can't mess up. That man is a 50, 40, 90 guy. That man is a superstar, in my personal opinion. And we're one day we're gonna talk about this, y'all. Top 10 players all time.
Oh, I can't wait.
I am one of those crazy people that is going to say that man is in my top 10.
No question. He's in mine. No question.
He's in my top 10, you know,
No
and
question.
we got to talk about that, you know. So at a later date, we're going to talk about that. But I got the Suns, and I got the Suns in 6. I think they get it done with that last game at home. And I think that Booker goes like ballistic. And I think that Ayton actually has a good series.
There we go.
For last minute, do you have any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Last closing thoughts. Let's go Knicks, finish this series tonight. Let's go Lakers, finish the series tonight. But if the Lakers don't win, I'm still not tripping because I think they want to go back to the crib and finish it in the crib. But other than that, enjoy the playoffs. Y'all know y'all going to hear from us.
Yeah, then Celtics, you better win, or you're going to have to see me.
Oh, you better, because you got to come see the Knicks.
Yeah, you're going to have to see me. But guys, listen, follow us, hit subscribe. You know, I'm your girl Nat the GM, Nat_the_GM on Twitter. Jones, real quick, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at Jonesin for Sports. That's Jones, and for sports. Everywhere.
Perfect. Thank you so much, y'all. 3P Podcast. We'll be back next week. Have a good one.
3P.